Hello, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks, and welcome to my favourite time of the week, where I share tips and techniques as a team coach, as a coach to senior executives around the world, and also as a motivational speaker to organisations. And I had a dream. I had a dream last night. And in it, I was taking over again. It took me back to my army days, and I was taking over again a company from its incumbent, and I had to get to know the team I had, which led me to today's session about tips on getting the best from your team. And how good are you at bringing out the best in the teams that you inherit, or indeed the team you've been in for a long time? And these are my lessons that I've acquired through the mistakes that I've made, and boy, I've made a lot, I can assure you. But the mistakes others have made too, but also the things that I've seen that have worked, both in the military, where I was for 20 years in the military, and my 20 years as both the managing director of a PLC and in various roles in business. So I'm going to use the 8 principles of inspiring leadership, the work that has been done on what creates high performers, individuals and teams, and those who have the greatest potential. So the first one I'm going to do is MQ. So as you look at your team and the individuals in the team that you've inherited, or you perhaps turned some people over, you got rid of some people, you brought others in, you must build mutual trust and psychological safety with them. You as the team leader, that's your job. Don't expect them to do it. You've got to create the safe environment. Don't say fine words that, trust is important, we must have psychological safety, but yet you behave in a way that completely undermines it. So create psychological safety to begin with, and then find out what is it that they will do and what is it that they will not do, and find out from other people about how much they trust them. I mean, you can't ask them directly, do you trust this person or not? But just listen for the cues that are picked up. Even say to them, who are the top 2 or 3 people in the team, in the organization, that you trust the most, that have the highest set of principles and integrities by which they live by, rather than adapting to whatever happens in any situation to get the outcome they want. So that's the first one, MQ. The second one is PQ, that's meaning and purpose. Establish, find out what gives them a clear sense of meaning and purpose. Share what gives you a clear sense of meaning and purpose, because as the leader, they've got to be clear, they know who they're following and why you do what you do. Well, find out, why do they do what they do? The why question is the most important one to ask them. So that's the second one. The third one is health quotient, HQ. How is their mental health? Have they had troublesome problems with mental health, and how can you help them to be more anti-fragile so that they won't be so badly affected and become mentally unwell? What can you do to pick them up? They may have been through some really bad experiences, and boy, as you can imagine, in the military we had people with PTSD and a number of problems, and they needed help. You couldn't ignore that, but you've got to understand what it is and how to bring the best out in people and prevent them from having a reoccurrence of any illnesses they may have had, both physical and mental. Looking after their physical health, so they are resilient and they are robust, but also physically fit enough to last the whole journey. This is not a sprint, the work that you're doing in your teams. It is a marathon, and you've got to refuel, you've got to keep yourself going with those 5 fundamentals: eat, move, sleep, breathe, and focus, which I've talked about before, but I will talk about in more detail in future videos. So, how can you enhance their mental and physical health and well-being? The fourth one is IQ, their wisdom, their judgment. It's not just about clever people. I've come across a lot of teams who've got some very clever people, but they don't make very good decisions, or they're indecisive. They can see every angle and can't ever make their mind up because they're afraid of getting it wrong. They're a perfectionist. But ultimately, you have to make a decision, what we call DAN's ad: decision, action, next step, who's accountable, and the delivery deadline. So how good are they? Have they got a wisdom council, a group of other people that they tap into who they share ideas and problems with each other and help others to solve their own problems by sharing their wisdom and experience? Do they have an executive coach? Do they have a mentor? And indeed, if they've had some mental health challenges, have you used the employee assistance program? And have you provided them with or helped them to find a psychotherapist who can work with them to help them overcome some of the issues that they've got? Then the fifth area is EQ, emotional and social intelligence. How good are the people in your team, those individuals? Because you've got to get to know them individually. They used to laugh at me in the Scots Guards. I had a little platoon commander's notebook for the 30 people that I was in charge of. I knew everything about their football teams, their families, their children. But of course, you can overdo it and they think you're a spy if you admit it so openly. So it is something you need to do subtly. And as you accumulate and get to know them with the right intention, because your intention is, I hope, to know them in a way that you can bring the best out in them, rather than to spy on them and use it as a way of, as the white-collar psychopaths do, to get an edge on someone and screw them down or unsettle them completely. No, the whole idea of knowing everything about the people who work for them, how can you bring the best out in them? So in their emotional and social intelligence, how good are they at managing their own emotions and not flying off the handle and losing it completely when things don't work out or getting unhinged by somebody else? How good are they handling life's crises as they go along in a way that they stay calm? Then how good are they at reading the other people in the room in a meeting? Can they pick up the people who are being left out in their own teams, or indeed in the team that you're leading, of which they are part? Because remember, the team above you, that's your first team. Your own team is your second team. You must always serve that higher team and think bigger, think at a strategic level rather than just be selfishly looking after your own team. People don't always get that. They see their own team as their first team and the team that they're reporting into as their second team. And they don't support their colleagues in there, their peers, and they rather try and score points over them. Big mistake. So, managing their own emotions, reading other people, and reading the environment they're in. Resilience, RQ. How resilient are they at coping with setbacks, disappointments, and recovering from their mistakes? A great question that I always ask any leaders, or any of the leaders that I work with, is, when was the last time you were dead wrong? When you were dead wrong, you got it wrong. Now, some of them might go, do you know what, John? I make mistakes quite frequently, and I have to learn from them. Others go, no, can't think of a time I was ever wrong. That's a real problem, and it will unhinge them. And people will not willingly follow them because they have no humility. They're just so overconfident and over-arrogant, or insecure, which makes them unwilling to admit they've got mistakes. So when was the last time they're dead wrong? The second question is, how quickly did they learn from it? And the third one is how fast did they resolve the problem? So learning from mistakes, and when was the last time you did wrong? The last two is brand. What was your brand, reputation, image, and impact? And the brand, reputation, image, and impact of the people that you're leading. What do people say about them when they're not in the room? And you'll have the official hierarchy with certain positions that people have and who's above who in the organization. But what's the unofficial, the real one? Who are the hubs? Who are the people that people trust and go to for advice and wisdom, and who make things happen? And finally, legacy, LQ. Do they leave the jobs better than they inherited them? Because that's a sign of legacy. What is their legacy? How will people remember them? So I'll end with two quotes. Firstly, the military maxim, calm is contagious. So be calm. And secondly, a lovely quote from Oliver Wendell Holmes. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. So remember that about you as a leader, and look for what's within the people you're leading, and make sure those you lead can tell what's inside you and you're worth following. Thank you.